Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Live with Steve and Justin. Hello, Justin.
Good afternoon, Steve.
It would seem that I've had a group of technical difficulties here today because I'm always hitting the wrong button. So the intro didn't play right, but I also said that we're going to have a new intro. So sooner or later, I'm just waiting on some new software that I purchased, and we will have a new intro. So something we never do, or you do once in a while and I forget to do, is that everyone, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you live. We're following us live, but know that there's also a regular edited podcast where I take out all the stupid things we say and and not words and stuff, but like ums and uhs and things, so we seem a little bit better. Um, the also we never say, please like our podcast. Please subscribe to our podcasts. We've kind of hit a lull. We were getting, 30 or 40 or 50 subscribers, and we've kind of hit a lull where we just have a couple every episode. So we'd appreciate if you watch us, subscribe, like us. Please give us your comments, especially if you're live and you want to go in the little chat box. You could chat with us. We appreciate that. I'd like to say a couple of things. So like and subscribe.
And
Thank
share
you.
with your friends.
Here. Justin, here we are.
Here we are. Championship weekend.
Championship weekend.
Championship Monday.
Like I tell you, there's a lot of technical difficulties today. Here's one of them. Why you sound a little distant. It helps if you actually plug the headphones into the system so I can actually hear you.
I can plug mine in if you want.
No, they work good. Now I can hear everything the way I meant to hear it. So
there you go.
So there you are. I know we have a group of new listeners, and I thank everybody for listening. We're here we love comments. We love comebacks. We love those things. We love helping us with our conversation. So a lot of things happen this weekend. A lot of things. And tonight we have the national championship game. We'll get to that. I think we save it to the end, maybe, because
Sure.
most people who are listening after tonight or listening during the week will not really care what we have to say about the national championship game because it'll already be over. So where do you want to start with the playoffs? I mean, there were a lot of good games. There were more interceptions than I ever remember in my life.
Incredible.
Fumbles. The weather wasn't so great in a lot of places. People were playing cold and snowy, but
wasn't as bad as they led us to believe it would be, especially in Chicago.
Correct. I mean, and meanwhile, yes, I agree with you. So that's part of it. Chicago wasn't so bad. I'm still trying to get over that they're going to move the Bears to a different stadium. I really.
Didn't they just redo Soldier Field?
I thought so, but you know the way it is. People want these billion-dollar stadiums, and you think about. I don't care how many games there are a year, 17, 18, whatever you want to say. They want to make it more. They're not going to get more, but. You think that you're talking about, so if there's 18 games, that means there's 9 home games, and it's really not, because one game's getting played in Europe or in South America or something. So there's like 7. So they spent, used to be $1 billion, now it's a couple of billion on a stadium for 7 games a year. It's amazing.
It's all to cultivate making more money in the long run. It's not about the product on the field, that's for sure.
Not about the product on the field. Well, certainly, and I'm sure we'll get to them, there were a lot of strange coaching decisions. There was a lot of strange officiating decisions.
Inconsistency from the officiating crews above, not even the ones on the field. Or I guess in New York.
I know. So let's talk about the game, which I think is the strangest one, and that's probably Buffalo, right?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead. You could talk.
Yeah, I mean, you know, unfortunately, the officiating decisions from the booth and the review decisions are what's clouding the outcome of this game. I mean, there's a few things clouding the outcome of this game, including Bo Nix's injury. But you'd like to be able to walk away from these playoff games clean without any nonsense or second guessing or you know like we're doing Monday morning quarterbacking. But I watched that one play over and over and over again, and I watched a dozen different opinions on whether it was a catch, whether it was an interception. And the only thing that I found that could sway my thought process one way or the other was a video from earlier in the season when Aaron Rodgers was tackled and fumbled, and then it was considered he was down by contact. And the ball was ripped away from him or whatever. So I'm still unclear because the rule itself, it seems subjective to whoever's in New York at the time.
Right.
One week it's a catch and he's down, and 3 weeks later, 6 weeks later, he's not down. It's not a catch. It is a fumble. I mean, the rule has changed enough times that I don't even think they know if they got it right, to be honest with you. I go back to the Calvin Johnson catch and the Des Bryant catch, both of which I thought were catches at the time. May not be by rule, but then the rules changed. And the more they change, it seems like the less they get it right. It's very frustrating if you're growing the brand and you're
Right.
growing the NFL and you want more viewership, that's going to turn people off. And you're turning off not only new possible viewers, but you're turning off the dinosaurs like me that I don't want to see that. It's a catch. Is it a catch? It's a catch. Is it a fumble? It's very frustrating to have to stop the game and the momentum and everything. And I know that Buffalo fans and they have every right to be upset about that particular play. But let's face it, their quarterback did not play well. They turned the ball over 5 times. Denver scored 16 points off turnovers. That's the difference in the game. And
Well,
we talk about that every week.
you know what bothers me the most about that incident with the ball? Whether he's down, whether he's not down, is it a fumble? Is it an interception? Whatever you're saying there, is it seemed like there had been as my father would say, a bum's rush, a rush to judgment. And the rush is all of a sudden, oh, well, let's go. We're not going to talk about it. It's done. Well,
Yeah.
well, wait a minute. What's done? We're in overtime, right? Were we in overtime at that point? Or there wasn't overtime. It was the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
The fourth quarter. So you see this guy, I mean, you think he may be down. And, to me, the television announcers were unclear too. I think they just went with the flow or whatever they're going to do to try to explain what was going on, what happened. To me, he looked like he was down.
Looked to me like he was down too.
I mean, you don't need long to be down, right? You're down, you're down. You don't need 3 seconds. You have to be control of the ball and some weirdo part of your body, whether it's your back, your knee, your leg, your feet, whatever it is, has to be touching the ground.
They're going to revisit this and they might change this rule again and make it even worse.
Right. Well, that's consistently been the problem about these things. So, and that changes the game. Buffalo wins.
Buffalo, well, yes, Buffalo wins the game, but let's you could do this all day, right? There's the one play in the overtime where Buffalo got away with a hold and it should have been a safety and it would have been game over and the Broncos would have won on a safety. And if they had called that, Bo Nix would still be playing this weekend. So it goes both ways. Josh Allen has been really good all season. He was great last season, and I'm not knocking his playoff, record here for this particular performance because I don't think that team is very good. We
Right.
talked about it week one that they had to get a lot better from what they showed week one. They scored 50 points against a Ravens defense who couldn't stop anybody, but their own defense gave up 50 points. So they didn't really convince me that they had crossed that threshold and
Right.
gotten so much better. And they have virtually no weapons on offense. I mean, I know we talked about how their wide receivers were seemingly non-existent almost all season.
Right.
One guy got benched. They're bringing guys in from the practice squad. Another guy got hurt. They have serviceable tight ends, but let's face it, it's not, and I'm not knocking them, but they're not Jason Kelsey, right? Or Travis Kelsey. They're not, Antonio Gates. They're not, they're just standard tight ends. And then he finally gets one guy open and he misses him. I mean, that guy's 6'4", 6'5", 6'4", and he overthrows him. He's wide open. I mean, you can't miss that throw. So they had plenty of opportunity to put that game away and win that game, and they just didn't. And then you could blame the coach who got fired today. And we talked about him at the beginning of the season, middle of the season. I
Right.
mean, I don't have a problem with him getting fired there. Where they go from here, then, now they're on the hot seat.
Right.
Hopefully
But
it wasn't an emotional decision.
listen, ownership has to make a decision, right?
And they're getting a new stadium, so I think they wanted a new coach, to be honest with you.
That's true. There's a lot of conversations about how that stadium's. Buffalo consistently has a lot of corruption that goes on when they're building large projects. Okay, and it goes on
Welcome
and
to New
on and
York
on,
State.
and no shortage of these kinds of problems in the building of the stadium and who the vendors are and all those things. But let's put that aside for now. The The new stadium, yes, it's a fact, but let's keep things in perspective. The ownership has a right to, as much as I trash the ownership all the time for making crazy decisions,
Rightfully so.
and rightfully so. But in this case, would I have fired him? I originally said no, but if I was the owner of the team and said, you've consistently failed to get us the outcome that we're looking for. And as it appears now, Buffalo's biological clock. Every football team has a biological clock that has a great quarterback. That sooner or later, they're going to, the great quarterback, and there's no argument that this guy is a generational quarterback, right? He really he plays amazingly. He's carried that team that really hasn't been good enough to get to where they are. Their defensive has been weak from time to time, but everybody says, and it's well known, that he puts that team on his back and carries them to the playoffs. They say, well, let's see if he can put on his cape again. They say he's a Superman.
Yeah.
Is he a Superman? I don't know, but he is damn good. And I think any team in the league, other than maybe, no, probably any team in the league would take him. Now he's going to be 30, so maybe it's another story. But Josh Allen is one of the great quarterbacks. He plays well. He's big. He's tall. He runs. He throws. And this weekend, he threw to the wrong team.
He had that one fumble where he just was in no man's land, carrying the ball like a loaf of bread and just basically threw it on the ground behind him. What to me was the most critical point in the game because that was where the coach needed to pull him off the field. And I'm not saying he should have benched him, but you have to have a conversation with him right then and there that you can't play like that. Our playoffs are at stake. Our future season is at stake. And I know they were trying to come from behind. It was crazy. And they're moving the ball all over the field. And they were down, what was it, 17 points at that point, whatever it
Right.
was. He's trying to make it happen. And you need him to do that because they really don't have much offensively going on at that point.
Right.
So
And they have
he
injuries too. It's not just
yeah,
they
they
have bad.
haven't yeah. But you still have, even though the guy's been fumbling the last 4 or 6 weeks, you still have one of the best running backs in the game.
Right.
And your offensive, I know you need to throw the ball to win there, but you have to bring it in. You have to reel it in at some point. You still need a sustained drive where you can bully that defense and get after them. You have a good offensive line. They showed that last week against the Jaguars. So Man, the Jaguars have to be kicking themselves. But anyway, that point in the game to me was like, you need to reel this guy in. And you need to have a conversation right now about where this offense is going in this game and how you're going to score points because you cannot not. And this is not about protecting him from getting hurt. It's strictly about the turnovers and protecting the football. Yes, you need him to be Josh Allen. You need him to run. You need him to move outside the pocket. You're in a dire situation because you're trying to come from
Right.
behind. But right then and there, as the head coach, you got to pull him aside and say, you got to reel it in and talk to your offensive coordinator and say, we can't hang this kid out to dry. We need to sustain a drive and calm things down and take control of this football game. And I know there's a lot of coaches that, sometimes they'll be down 14, 17 points and they're running the football. And I'll get a text from Mike that says, does this guy think he's winning the game by 14 points? But that's right. And oddly enough, teams that are winning 14 by 14 points don't run the football. It's amazing to me how they mismanage the clock all over the place, but that's another story. So for me, the in-game coaching of McDermott over the last, course of the last 6, 7 playoff seasons, whatever they've been to, he hasn't been great. And
Right.
he's ultimately it's on him because yes, you're growing the quarterback. He's learning. He's coming into his own. We talk about it takes, I always say 5 years for you to get to that point where this is the guy. Like you might know earlier, and you progress along the way, and you hope to get there before year 5. Well, well past year 5, and we know Josh Allen can play. So I don't have a problem with McDermott being fired. Frankly, I thought he should have been fired 2 years ago. That's
Right.
just me,
Well, that
but
could be. That
could
could
be.
be. You're 120% correct. What needs to happen is a coach needs to always have control of the game. And I think that's what you find with weak coaches. They never do. You don't find that with Peyton in Denver. You won't find it with a lot of other coaches where they're always in control of the game, where their players. You were right. He needed to be sit down and he needed to be told, listen, this is what you need to do. This is what we need to do to win the game. You have to keep it under control. And you can't
Yeah,
say, go out there and do it. I mean, listen, Tom Brady, you could tell Tom Brady, go do your thing because he's going to do his thing.
you wouldn't
He's in
have to tell
control.
Tom Brady, and
Correct.
that's
Nothing.
the difference.
That's the
And what I mean
difference.
by that is, you know, if you watch videos of Parcells, or even if you hear stories from yesteryear, right? One of the great stories of all time is Yankees second baseman 100 years ago is having trouble throwing the ball to first base. He's got the yips. So
We talking about Chuck Novak?
no, long before him. We're talking about like the Miller Huggins days. I think I might have
Okay.
read this in either Billy Martin's biography. I'm trying to remember where I read it, but the manager realizes the second baseman's got a problem. And he knows that if he screams at him or disciplines him or calls him out,
Gil
he's
McDougal?
no, it wasn't McDougal. It wasn't somebody like Lazari or it wasn't a big name player.
Bobby Richardson?
No, not Bobby Richardson.
All right.
Doesn't matter. Point is that
I'm going to keep asking you names,
I
but
know, and I'm not going to remember who it is, but
I
it
met
was
Gil
definitely the
McDougal, by
Yankees.
the way.
So the manager, and I'm pretty sure it was Miller Huggins, he goes up to him and says, and I don't think it was Garrick. It was maybe who's after Garrick, whoever it was then. But he says, look, this bum is having trouble paying attention over here at first base. He's falling asleep. So I need you to make sure he gets hit in the chest every play because you got to wake him up because he's falling asleep. And that just straightened him out. He didn't have to think about what he was doing wrong. His concentration was on this guy instead of worrying about himself, making it worse. And
Right.
that's next level coaching. And when when I was a player, if somebody screwed up and you knew they screwed up and the coach didn't go after him, he started coming after the team, it wakes everybody up.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
oh, it's not that guy's fault, it's our fault. So in this situation, when I say you have to have a conversation, that is a dynamic of the relationship between the quarterback and the coach where is this the time for me to go have this conversation? Or do I need him just to be within earshot to hear me yell and scream at the offensive line or yell and scream at the wide receivers or yell and scream at the running backs? You got to get your heads out of your ass. You need to play better. You need to protect the quarterback. You need to protect the football. It's either or, but either way, a conversation has to be had either with the quarterback and the offensive coordinator or within earshot of both of them with somebody else on that offense that is in charge. So usually you take it out on the offensive line because they're mentally tough and physically tough, and they
Right.
don't give a darn anyway. They're going to go out and maul people, and you want your offensive line to go out there and maul people, and you want to give them an excuse to go maul people. And I think that was that moment for them. And it seemingly, I don't know if that happened or not. It didn't seem to happen.
I think, I think that's true. I think that because the nature of players today and what control they have over the team that they never had in those days has changed the dynamic for coaches.
Certainly.
Coaches that aren't strong, that haven't built that control in the locker room, have not done anything to gain confidence of their players, when push comes to shove, cannot do those things that they need to do to win a game. And I think that that happens again and again. And that's why there's so few great coaches in the NFL today.
Well, you know why? Because owners like you know who, with their nameplates and their hats and their change of wardrobe, they want to be friends with the players. So they're going to side with the players because they want to do everything they can to keep them happy and not have to pay them too much money. And man, you got to let the coach coach. Period. This is a man's sport. I don't care what your politics are. If you can't handle
Yeah.
being spoken to like a man, you shouldn't be playing this game. This is not like the NBA where they can just go out and run up and down the court for 4 quarters and pretend that they're, you know, everybody's family. We all love each other off the court. We all want everybody to make money. No, this is football. Someone's going to get hurt if you play like that. And you need to have a coach that's going to instill that in these players. I'm in charge, not the owner, not the general manager, not the CBS broadcaster or the sideline reporter. I'm in charge. And if you can't establish that, I think, there are coaches that have done that. Most two of them got fired, right? So,
Well, just think about Harbaugh. All right. We believe he's that kind of coach. We believe that he could take control of the game. But what happens? He gets undermined by his quarterback.
yeah,
So here he's at a place he's been 18 years.
he got undermined by his quarterback. It was a huge contract, and they're going to do everything they can to keep and make him happy. And I understand that because it's a business. I get that. And he is a great talent.
Yes, but that's the quick answer.
Right. What's the
But
long-term answer? What's
so
the
the long-term
successful
answer
answer?
is, so you have a quarterback that, let's go talk about this for a minute. You have a quarterback that feels he isn't appreciated by the team. And that's really what happened in Baltimore, right? Before he got his $55 million contract a year or whatever it is. So they give him all this money. And when they're doing that, they're giving him power.
Yeah, when you allow for certain behaviors off the field, you can't expect that to change in the locker room because guys see it. So, are they gonna respect him just because he got paid a lot of money? If he's not really a leader in the locker room, he's just a rah-rah guy. He's just going through the motions telling guys, "Hey, we need to play better, or we need to act better, or we need to do this." And they're probably looking at him like, "Who are you to talk?" Whereas somebody like Ray Lewis, Ray is Ray in the locker room, out of the locker room. He's in control. Period.
Yeah, but Ray Lewis is on your side,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, he's right.
Ray Lewis is always on the side because it's win today, win tomorrow, win forever, right?
Yes.
I mean, you think about, not to talk about, and I'm not a New England fan, and I know you're not a New England fan, but we appreciate what they used to do. Tom Brady and Bill would sit down at the beginning of the season and they would start talking about the team, what they expected, what they wanted to do. And they didn't like each other, but they
Had a
were
working
all,
relationship,
but it,
professionals.
it all gets to an end, right? And
They
they
have a
would go
common
there and say, these are our
goal.
players. Okay. Oh, you want a new contract? We're only going to pay you this much. You don't want to work for that? Fine, go somewhere else. Didn't matter who it was.
It's like I said every week, if you don't like it, go play in Cleveland. And that's
Think about
and
how
that's
many
where they were gonna sign
players.
Gronkowski.
Think about how many players that happened with. Now, it's different, and I think that's what's wrong with today's player too. Well, I'm playing great. I'm great. Everybody see, did you listen to the news? The news, all the people are telling me how great I am. But you know what? You didn't win. In Baltimore, after they
Chances are
won,
everybody in that locker
their
room is great to
quarterback
some degree.
in Baltimore, when they finally won, their quarterback had been reaching towards the end of his lifespan. But then he got the money. Even though they knew they weren't going to have him that whole time, he got the money for what he did, not
Yeah.
for what he should be doing. And I think that's where this relationship to players have changed. Now, we all know, you know where that all changed when we started giving more guaranteed money, and you can blame Cleveland for that too, because they were the first one to give a guaranteed contract to a big time quarterback who made it 20 seconds. And
Literally, I mean, and
right.
he's still carrying weight on that roster. It's amazing.
Correct. They gave him a guaranteed, fully guaranteed contract. I mean, the other owners must have lost their mind.
You can't imagine what goes through someone's mind in a situation like that and why things happen. But let's face it, the agent plays a huge role in making that happen and convincing teams to spend that kind of money and trade for players like that.
Well, I mean that is true.
I mean, who knows where he would be if he just kept his head on straight and stayed with the Texans, where they'd be today.
Well, let's you know, I don't first of all, the guy with the cape, Josh Allen, must have left it in his locker the first quarter, right? How many interceptions and turnovers and fumbles and things where you just lost your focus. And you're right. That's the coach's point to say,
Coach has to see that happening.
and he says, okay, let's sit down and let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Let's get back into the realm. Everybody has a bad quarter. Everybody has a bad game, but you need to get back to it. Now, on the flip side of that, I don't know what to say about the Texans.
Quarterback just completely didn't show up for the game.
I mean, you pick on Sam Darnold for not showing up. This guy was in the ozone. When you looked at him, you said, he's lost.
They made a point to say that when they lost Tank Dell, he hasn't been the same player. Then, of course, you didn't have Nico Collins. Other teams have lost their go-to guys in the playoffs and have rebounded. But ultimately, the last half of the season when he was out for a little bit and Stidham, I think, was the backup quarterback, they played very well. Not Stidham. What was the guy's name? Did I get that? I don't know. Stidham is in Denver. What's the guy's name? Jesus. Anyway, their backup quarterback played well in his stead when he was out during the season, and at halftime, it was pretty clear that was that's a coaching decision that only a coach can make. People are saying, "Do you stick with him? How can you stick with him? Bring in the backup." It's a tough decision to make when it's your guy,
Right.
and I think I don't want to say that the coach didn't make that decision because he's a defensive coach, but I think an offensive coach is more readily going to pull the trigger there because it just sometimes you just have to do it. If he's not playing well and you already have established that your backup can play. It's not like you're just turning it over to, Brownie Nagel for lack of a better option, but you've got to be able
Brownie
to make
Naval.
that decision.
Talk about pulling a name out of the air.
Yeah. You've got to be able to make that decision in game and have the courage of your conviction. And listen, I respect him for sticking with Stroud, but he looked completely lost. And, you know, I don't know that it's entirely his fault, mostly his fault. His throws were bad. I mean, he just could
Oh,
not put it together. And the decision to throw he's running for his life and he just throws the football away. I mean, that to me was an indicator that he is not here today. He's somewhere else. he's got to get benched. We need to bring the backup in and do the best we can to control the rest of this
I
game
mean, there's something
and
about
hope our defense makes a play. And their defense played great.
there's something about saying, well, this is who got us here. We're going to ride it to the end.
Yeah, if he threw for 5,000 yards or 4,000 yards and he had 30 touchdown passes, but that wasn't the case with him this year. He had a very inconsistent season. He's regressed.
He was better in prior years than he is
He
now.
was better his rookie season.
And I think
So
his action affected the defense.
the defense played great when I mean, this is similar to the 99 2000 Ravens, right? Like
Right,
the
exactly.
defense is carrying us every week. We just need somebody not to turn the ball over. We'll take care of everything else. We'll shut everybody out
But
and win by a field goal.
when you had, what do you have, 5 interceptions? There was 4 and a fumble,
Yeah, I think it was
something 4 and a I mean, when you look at that, how am I supposed to go out there and kill myself as a defensive player when every time I get the ball back, this guy throws it away?
yeah. Your defense is on the field the whole time. I mean, it was
But
really terrible.
you need to generalize. Wow. You need to make them feel like they're having an effect on the game, the defense, right? You need
Well,
to think you think that I'm gonna get you the ball back, and you're gonna win for us. You're gonna do it is, and that never happened.
yeah,
They
Patriots
never
forced 5 turnovers.
they came back, and the defense was like, "What am I doing here? This guy can't play, and we're not
They
gonna
didn't
be
give
able to
up.
win
I mean,
without
they
him."
fought the whole game, right up really till
They
the end.
fought.
I mean,
How they were ever in the game at halftime? Wait, imagine having a quarter like that. You could say that about Buffalo too. I
the
mean,
Broncos might find themselves in the same position this coming weekend with Nick's out. They're gonna they're gonna have to put Sean Payton is gonna have to do. He's talking about pulling a rabbit out of your hat. That is something that I mean, we'll talk about that later, I guess. But yeah, the Texans had no recourse for their quarterback play. The defense is pulling their hair out, playing with their hair on fire, and you could tell the Patriots were frustrated. But the Patriots, to their credit, and to to Drake May's credit and Vrabel's credit, they did not lose their composure. They realized that they could win that game. They just had to play their game, and they did. And they took shots down the field when they could. They take what the defense gives them. That's how you win games. So they're very well coached and very well prepared. I can't tell you that they're the better team, whether it's on paper or, they won the game. They're the better team, and they are beatable because none of these teams are complete that are left in these playoffs, with the exception of maybe.
so wait a minute. So let's just look at something. So what's the schedule for next week?
Uh, the Rams are at the Seahawks,
Right.
and the Patriots are going to Denver.
So let's talk about this. So the Patriots, who did they play this week?
Patriots play the Broncos, the Texans,
Who was the best coach team in that game?
the Patriots
The
for sure.
Broncos. The Broncos played Buffalo.
Hall of Fame coach on the Broncos side.
Who is the best coach team?
Sean Payton's the better coach. There's no question.
They're coached and they execute.
Yeah. I
The
know people are going to be
Seahawks,
up in arms at that comment, but it is
well, the
what it is.
Seahawks were dominant the whole time.
Yeah.
That wasn't going anywhere. And I think they were the best coach team there too. And you could say that about the Rams. You can't say a word
I
about
have
the
some
Rams
some
coaching.
reservations about the Rams and their play calling, but they're a good football team. They're incomplete. They're a good football team, but some of the play calling decisions, I just was shaking my head during that game, and on both sides, to be honest with you. Less from the Bears because I think Ben Johnson is they're kind of reminiscent of, you know, maybe where the Giants were before Eli won his first Super Bowl, where they're growing, they're progressing, they're going to get better every year. The coach is, Maybe he made a bad decision here or the wrong decision there, whatever. But that guy's a disciplinarian, and I don't mean that in a militant way. I mean, he's prepared. He's got these guys, they're bought into what they're doing. The quarterback is playing well. He throws that interception in the overtime, and frankly, the receiver just gave up on the route, and he's thrown to where he's expecting the receiver to be. And I know that Rex talked about it today, that box defense, they're baiting you to make that throw, but if he runs his route, at best at worst, it's an incompletion, right? At best, he catches the ball.
Right.
So
So, but look at this. I mean, let me ask you a question. Bills tied the game up, right? In the end of the fourth quarter to go to overtime. Would you have went for two?
100%,
Me too. I was
100%.
I
I mean,
was
you got them on the ropes, but they're not prepared for that. They've been playing the whole game, trying to come from behind. They give up the lead, they get back the lead, they tie the game, or they're going to tie the game. I don't knock the coach because if he's on the field, so I'm assuming he's feeling that his players where they are emotionally. And if you're not prepared for that, then shame on you. I always say never go for two until it's time to go for two, which means go win the game. I think in the case of the Bears,
I would have called them all in front of me and said, "Listen, you guys want to play in the Super Bowl?
let's go for
There
it.
it is.
There it is right there.
Go
You
make it
have to be ready
happen."
to make that decision as a coach. I don't like overtime. I'm not a fan of overtime. I always say F overtime. We texted about it. Should they go for two? I was texting Mike. They should go for two if they score, et cetera, et cetera.
I was shocked that they were so quick to kick the ball.
I think that they kind of felt the relief of coming from behind and everything was an even playing field. In the Bears game,
What is this, Little League? You felt the
no, I
relief?
listen,
I
I
mean, I
I
mean,
I
coach should
agree,
be
but
ready for that. They should have
if your
been.
offense is gassed or you don't feel that, you've got to have the confidence to go for two at any moment in the game when you have to. Personally, I don't like going for two early in the game. I don't like going for two until there's 2 minutes left. That's just my personal philosophy. In the Bears game, it was a little different. The Bears scored with, was it 4 minutes left in that game?
It was different.
It was different. Oh no, I'm sorry. With 4 minutes left, they went for it on fourth down. They didn't get it. And while that was transpiring, I'm saying to myself,
Hold on. You're at a point that you were making before. What goes on? You don't run the ball to eat up the clock? I mean, you're winning a game. There's, I don't know, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I don't know how much time there was, but there wasn't a lot more than that. Pass. Oh, incomplete. And one of the guys on the television says, "Well, that stops the clock." Duh.
they're out coaching themselves because I'm convinced they're looking at an analytics chart that
Yeah.
tells them the defense is going to expect you to do this, so you should do this instead. Well, what do you think they're looking at on the other side? That, well, tendency says this, so he's probably not going to run that. He's a smart guy. He's probably going to run this. And they're prepared for it. They'll call a timeout if they have to regroup. They know by the personnel that's on the field.
Right.
The formation is kind of irrelevant because they're looking at the key players, right? So, there was a lot of questionable stuff there where they kind of just psyched themselves out of doing just do what you need to do. Execute. You have to execute. Why do something that's percentage wise? If we get this, you need to know you can get it. Forget about the chart. Go with your gut. Go with your instinct. Go with the football to move. If they stop you, the clock runs. They just get too cute, and there's no reason for it.
They're not playing to win. They're playing not to lose.
The kickoff rule, I think, plays a big part. With 4.5 minutes left or whatever it was, for something, the Bears are going for it on fourth down. And I'm saying to myself, they're going to get the ball back. If they kick a field goal here, and I know they're inside the 10, inside the 5 at that point. What are they on the 2-yard line? If you kick a field goal and you still have 3 timeouts or
Right.
2 timeouts, whatever it was at that moment, either way, you need a stop, right? You need a 3 and out. You need a defensive stand. And I'm saying to myself, I wonder if they kick the field goal here. And this is not second guessing. In the moment, I'm thinking, can you kick a field goal here in hopes that you get the ball back? And then when you go down, because you have to have a touchdown either way to tie or to win in that position.
Right.
And if they get the ball back and they score, the game's over. So I just questioned about whether or not they should kick a field goal there and hope they get the ball back and have at least 1 or 2 timeouts, maybe the 2-minute warning. And your quarterback's playing lights out. He's throwing the ball all over the field. The Rams couldn't stop. They couldn't get to him.
And the defense showed up.
And the defense showed up, which is the Bears. I've been saying all season long, I think their defense is atrocious, and they played fairly well last night, all things considered.
In the last few minutes, that time where they
Yes.
got the ball back,
Yes,
I mean, they showed up.
absolutely. So
In
credit
fourth
them
quarter,
for
we're talking about fourth
fixing
quarter,
whatever.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Then now, I'm not saying they should have kicked the field goal. They get stopped on fourth down. The Rams take over. Rams just need a first. Well, they got a first down, but they got it too soon. Is what happened. They needed to run the clock out. They couldn't do it. So the Bears get the ball back, and I know it's an insane play, right? He drops back 20 yards and just chucks it up there. And I don't know what those defensive backs are doing back there, picking their noses, or I mean,
They
what are
thought
you
the
doing
game.
back
They
there?
thought it was over,
You got to be on this guy like glue. So
yeah, it was
you play
unbelievable.
until you hear the damn whistle. I mean, what are you doing back there? So it ends up being that guy that makes the interception later. But in that moment, you score the touchdown. Their defense has been on the field now for the better part of the last so many minutes of this game, and they're gassed. So
Right.
I can understand not going for two and going into overtime, but when they won the toss, they should have taken the ball because
You know that
that
occurred.
defense was gassed out. They could take the ball, you're going to score a touchdown. And then your pressure's on their offense, and now your defense is rested. They can come back on the field after getting a breather and put something together to stop the Rams from scoring a touchdown. So
I,
that's my only knock. But again, I'm not leaving it up to overtime. I'm not making that decision. I'm coming down the field. We score a touchdown. We're going for two and the win, period. If we don't get it, it's on me. I'll answer every question in the press conference. I'm a winner. I'm going for the win. I'm not playing for effing overtime. And it's not how we're here to win. You want to win a Super Bowl, like you said, go win the Super Bowl. And that was your opportunity to go win it.
I agree 100%.
They put too much emphasis on who gets the ball, where the ball's spotted. Each team has to have an equal chance. Nonsense. Go win the game. I'm not leaving it up to anybody else.
I don't. There's so many things where you're always playing this not to lose percentage,
Exactly.
and they really. And you know what? That's a perfect example of your point. Your perfect example of your point of you're playing analytics. Oh, we're not going to take the ball this way. This way, our defense will hold them, and then if we score, we win. Well, guess what? There's other ways to win the game. Used to be the point of view was you always took the ball on overtime because you wanted to go in there and win the game.
Because it was sudden death.
Because it was sudden death.
Now it's we got the field position, and the wind's blowing, and blah blah blah. I'm not leaving that decision up to a coin flip. I'm not doing that. I'm going to go win the game right here, right now. That's just my feeling. If I was in charge of the overtime rules, the home team would get the ball to start overtime, and that's that. There's your home field advantage.
It's
Forget
funny.
flipping a coin, not leaving it up to a coin flip.
It's
Ridiculous.
funny. Both of us talk about Parcells a lot, maybe because I was most exposed to Parcells and the way he played football, and it was different than anyone else. Gibbs at the time, and others that were just coaches that knew how to coach games and really knew how to coach games. People are said it. We're getting messages from people watching. So we appreciate not only watching, but actually paying attention. I mean, but what I find amazing is that coach mindset has really disappeared. And you do see it. I think you see it with McVay, and I think you see it with others.
No one can handle losing.
No, but and it's always like I'm covering my back. I'm in the I'm covering my back, and I think you see that in the extreme with coaches that the Jets and Giants have. Like, I'm not worried about winning the game. I'm worried about being on the back cover of the Post where they have gotcha on it or
Yep.
stupid or and they really and you know what? I think you have to be the Bill Belichick's of the world that say is miserable all the time, is miserable to the press, could care less what they said. You know, I mean, to the extreme that he becomes one of the winningest coaches of all time. He won more Super Bowls as offensive coordinator and a coach probably than anybody in history. And what? Nobody would hire him. Yeah, he is miserable. You know
Yeah.
why? Because it takes being miserable to win games. It takes single-mindedness. It takes saying, as Parcells used to say, what do you say? Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, or
It's
was
the
it the
only
other way
thing.
around? I mean, you really it's all about winning. It's
Or as
all
George
about winning. I
Steinbrenner
mean
would say, winning is second to breathing. But that's the mindset you have to have as a coach, right? Like you want, I mean, I understand, personalities and talking. No, I don't care. I'm not here to be responsible for the media and talking to them and worrying about sound. I'm here to coach football. Period.
and in
The only guy that
football
was good at it, and I really wish we had more of them. I know it's crazy, but I just loved Rex, right? Because Rex was the antithesis of Belichick. Come out making jokes, smiling, talking all kinds of nonsense, and the media would eat it up. And I mean, I know he got destroyed with the with that toe video thing and the tattoo, but Rex was a lovable guy. His players loved him. The media was all over. The fans loved him. I mean, you wanted to play for the guy and win for the guy because he wasn't miserable. He wasn't Belichick. But in between Belichick and Rex are all these fuddy duddy guys, with their weird personalities and their weird clothes they wear on the sideline
but
and their, super smart genius. And what does that get you?
but here it
There's no
is though.
conviction.
But the thing about Rex was when the clock ticked on, he was 120%. When the clock ticked off, he was back to the wherever he was. I mean,
Charlie Green Giant.
Charlie Green Giant. Think about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan be out there, hey guys, how are you? Good to see you. Nice to see you. Nice shoes, nice sneakers. And then all of a sudden, you're like, hey, that Mike's a great guy. Nice guy. Until the game started. Then he'd smack you in the face to take the ball away from you. All right?
That's the killer's a killer, man. I mean, it is what it is.
And that's the point of view. I mean, everyone has to realize that there is sacrifice for the team. And that, if I need to sit down for
It's
one
just not the
play,
mindset of today's player.
not
There's
anybody's
some,
mindset.
not it isn't
It's
not all, but
it's not just the players,
yeah.
it's the owners. It's listen, the game needs to be based on money a little bit. Other than oh,
Oh,
I
it
own it.
is. I mean, the quarterbacks make the most money,
Well, but
whether they're good or not. They make the most
I'm
money.
talking about how much a team makes.
Oh yeah,
You can't have a losing team make just as much as the winning team, right?
I agree.
And you
I
have
agree.
revenue sharing and everybody's making plus listen, we all understand what the original when the Rooneys and Hunts and Maras sat down in the 1920s or when television started to come and Pete Rozelle, who was the commissioner at the time, then they all sat down and said, we need revenue sharing or else we're not going to have anybody to play.
Yep.
There'll be no competition. It'll be the Giants against Chicago. It'll be the big school, and this is long before LA and teams started moving west. So it was necessary for that things. It was necessary for um for revenue sharing, but there has to be an end to it. There has to
Yeah,
be something that motivates owners to create great teams other than the method that most ownership do, and that's the dartboard method. Oh, what did it land on? Oh, we're going to take him. Everybody says he's good instead of building a bunch of people around you that know how to draft players, a bunch of people around you that, and in other words, take the damn analytics out of the game.
exactly. Let the coaches coach.
Let the coaches coach. And you know what? I want you to make a decision. I want you to believe in it, and I want you to defend it. And
Have the
yes,
courage of your convictions.
there are decisions that sometimes are gut. Like you said, well, I would have taken the ball because the defense was tired. They just came off the field. They just got beat, and we're going to go beat them again.
100%.
Or we just scored a touchdown. There's 3 seconds left. Let's go in there and score 2 points and win the game and not go to overtime. And you know why they didn't go to overtime? Because they didn't believe they could get the 2 points. Because if they did believe in the team and they did believe they were going to get the 2 points, they would have went for it.
Got to
It's
be
not
prepared for that. I just can't
absolutely.
imagine not being prepared for that. I mean, unless you make your decision is pregame and we're not going to do something like that because you think your team is too young or too immature or too whatever. I don't care. This is a learning experience on top of that. We're here to win. Go win that's how you build confidence. Go
Look
win the
at
game.
look at Kansas City.
And you avoid the drawn out heartbreak of it and the emotional loss of it. Just
Look at
go win the damn game.
look at Kansas City and the coaching that goes in the offense there. One of the greatest offensive minds in football, maybe ever. He would train his players. They would practice plays every week that they didn't use. And then all of a sudden in a playoff game that they've been practicing every it's a flea flicker, it's a toss with a reverse, and they score the winning touchdown
Hook and lateral, yeah.
and breaks the other team's back.
Right.
And they're and I remember seeing an interview with Mahomes and they say, "What made you think of that play?" He goes, "What do you mean think of it? We didn't think of it. We practice it every week." But they never played it
Right.
because they were saving it for that time period. They're preparing themselves for situation football, right? For situations that happen. And that doesn't happen that much. These weak coaches do not prepare. That's why time management stinks, sucks, whatever you want to say, because they don't prepare themselves for what's going to happen in the final 2 minutes, right? You say
Yeah.
Montana had the greatest 2 minutes quarterback there was because they were prepared for that thing. When you gave Montana the quarterback, you gave Montana the football with 2 minutes left, everybody said to themselves, they're going to win.
Mhm.
Because you know he could get out there, take command of the game. Everybody believed they did, and go out there and win. And that's what made Joe Montana great. And
Sure.
they constantly gave him the players that could make that happen.
Yeah. No
And then
doubt.
when he
I mean,
stopped,
that was a different era. You could do that. Now it's what's important about to know about this era versus then, and the great coaches still coach the whole roster. The rosters were much deeper then, whereas now there's some warm bodies on these rosters that are not NFL players, and that's a problem that's an NFL problem. But that's where your general manager and your coach come hand in hand. We have to fill out this roster from 1 to 53, no matter what. And the coach has to be able to coach these players. And you saw it yesterday in Seattle when Percy Harvin, who I thought was dead and retired 15 years ago, ran back the opening kickoff for a touchdown. I'm like, that guy's still alive? I had no idea he was even on their roster. So, veteran player, obviously you turn over the return duties to him because he's a specialist. That's what he does now. You need guys like that on your team, and they have it. And that's little things like that, roster adjustments, places on the roster for guys that are specialists make a huge difference on the field when the coach coaches.
I agree to that. But there's a coach. That's right. There's a coach who puts a team together for purpose. He knows the situations that may come.
McDonald, no one is talking about Mike McDonald. No one is talking about what a job he's done, how
Oh,
he's coached that roster, how he's helped built that team. It's all the focus is on Sam Darnold. It's amazing.
yeah. But on the other hand, he's taken Sam Darnold a couple more steps.
They've
The
got the
tough,
number one wide receiver in football. No one's talking about him.
the toughest
It's
steps
crazy.
there are the steps. I mean, they won that. They played that Thursday night game. Was it against L.A.?
With the fumbled the backwards pass, we hit off the helmet. Yeah, it was Thursday night.
Thursday, and they ended up winning
Thursday
the
night.
game. And
Yeah.
they were down, and I said, "Forget it. I'm not going to watch it anymore." And they came back 17 points in the
They
fourth
were down
quarter.
16, 17. Yeah, they came back and tied. I was like, how did that happen? This game, I thought this game was over.
And you know why that is? Because they believe they could do it. You had to believe before you could make it happen. And Sam
I agree.
Darnold, and everybody said, "Oh, that's the same old Sam Darnold." Well, guess what? The coach didn't say it.
Yeah.
The Sam Darnold didn't say it. The whole team believed in him. And in the interviews after
They're
the game, they all said, we believe in him. We believe in him."
they're the most complete team in this playoff,
I agree.
and I know some people might scoff at that because they're just Sam Darnold haters, and I'm still not a believer, but I don't hate the kid.
You're never going to be a believer.
Yeah, well, it's not I know where you're saying that, but it's I have to see it, right? Everyone's waiting for that shoe to drop, but it ain't happening. Right now, if I had to pick the Super Bowl winner, I'm picking the Seahawks. So, that being said, they did lose Charbonnet, a running back, a Michigan
Right.
guy, but that actually it's not a knock on Charbonnet. He's their touchdown leader, right? He's got 12 touchdowns this year.
Right.
He's leading scorer on the team. So that's a huge blow. But addition by subtraction, where their running game has been frustrating all season because they don't have one running back. In this
Right.
game, he goes down in the second quarter, and why can't I remember? Walker had got a chance to take over the game and get more carries and be more consistent, and it worked well for them. So kind of a blessing in disguise. And again, it could have happened the other way. Walker could have got hurt, and it could have been Charbonnet leading the way. But they have one running back now, which makes the offense, to me, it makes it a little bit more cohesive because it's different from like the Giants when they had Earth, Wind, and Fire, uh, or Thunder and Lightning or whatever they called their backfield. It's not your traditional two-headed monster where one guy's a huge smasher brawler and the other guy's a finesse, fast, inside outside guy. Two running backs that are kind of the same in many ways. Not much difference between them. Now you just have one guy, he's running the offense, and that's that. And it's got to make the coaching a little easier in terms of play calling because you're not relying on whatever thought process you had going on before, trying to balance both running backs in the game. Now you just have one and you go forward, and that's that. And he'll be able, they're still going to run play action. They're still going to hand him the football. They're still going to use him to protect Sam and put Sam in a position where he can keep defenders at bay off the play action and RPO and all that. So they're still going to be able to play their game.
I think with coaches like that and teams like that, where the ownership buys into what the coach is trying to do, I think they're able to. They not only draft the top players, but they pay attention to the lesser players and hoping that these players are going to move up the chain. When something bad happens, somebody fills a hole, and
Yeah,
I think that happens. And we're not talking about somebody filling a hole for Sam Darnold because that's less of a or Bo Nix. That's a more difficult thing to do because the whole team is built around those players. But players like that, where you have somebody running a kickoff back or those kinds of things, it's different. You need those players. You need those B players
absolutely.
for to rise up. And
Absolutely
I always
100%.
think in baseball in the World Series, and you think about Bucky Dutt, but think about Brian Doyle when he had the best few games of his life when playing for the Yankees. And I never forgot the video of who the heck was the manager of the Dodgers at the time? Lasorda
Lasorda.
saying, "Who the F is It's Brian Doyle, you know what I mean? And Brian Doyle, and years later, Brian Doyle had two brothers, and they had a football camp together. And years later, I met Brian Doyle and spent some time talking to him. And he told me, he goes, "That was just one of those things. It was my day, and I played well that day, and I rose to the occasion because I knew that this was going to be one of my only chances."
Sure.
Well, in football, it's less of a chance. In football, every game matters. You're not playing 162 games where you only need to win 100. You're
No,
playing,
win a tenth of that.
yeah, you're playing a tenth of that, and you need to win almost all of them. This year, you may
Pretty
get a
close to
bye.
it.
You know, this way, and you can't win them all. Everybody has a bad day. Every great team had a bad day. Even other than, um, the Dolphins, what was it, 72, where they went undefeated?
72 Dolphins.
Other than that, everybody had a day, and they had Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris and a quarterback that's having the best year of his life, right? So Hall of Fame
Sure.
quarterback too. So that it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So
No, it's not an easy thing.
not an easy thing. So what else? We want to say anything else? Want to talk about next week a little bit?
Well, we got to get to Miami, Indiana
All right, we'll do that in
tonight
two
if you
seconds.
want to. If you want to, yeah. I think the whole country's rooting for Indiana. I think even three-quarters of the state of Florida is rooting for Indiana.
Do you make such I mean, the news is making a really big deal about it being in Miami and it's going to be home to them and all that stuff. Well, did you watch Indiana? And I don't care if you even think they're good. I don't care if you think they're not as good as Miami. Did you watch them execute how they played football? That was the scariest thing I've ever seen. If you're Miami, you should be worried because they execute, execute,
Yeah,
execute.
yeah. I mean, listen, Miami's there for a reason. Indiana is very much a well-oiled machine offensively. It's funny that they scored that many points because they're really not a high-powered offense. They're just a well-oiled machine, and they're in sync virtually every play of every game. Uh, the matchup, Miami is considerably bigger up front, so this might be Indiana's biggest test all year. Their offensive line is like Miami's offensive line is like 6'5" or 6'6", 330 pounds average, which is just, I mean, those are maulers. But, that Indiana defense, they're tough and they don't play a lot of gimmick defense because they don't have to because they just come right at you. They have a good secondary, a tremendous player at safety, and, they're going to have their hands full tonight. Miami's got thoroughbreds. I mean, they are still Miami. They might have, one or two, whatever their record is in terms of win losses, but they're not, 13-2. They're not a traditional two-loss team, I can tell you that. They're gonna be ready to play tonight. It is a home game for them, but I imagine Indiana's gonna travel well. They've never been there. Miami, they're looking for their 6th championship, so I can imagine the Hoosiers are coming out of the woodwork to be there for this game. I talked to a few people that were going. They're excited to be there. They said all their friends were going, and we'll see what it looks like when they get inside the stadium tonight. I'm sure they're gonna be a minimum 40% of the crowd, which is a lot because I would imagine 20% of that crowd is probably just there to see the national championship without a rooting interest. So, you know, the quarterback Mendoza has a relationship with the Miami head coach because him and his father played together. So they know each other very well, which is interesting.
Right.
So you wonder if he's Miami coach is in his head a little bit at all, if anything, see if that plays out in any way. Miami 7.5 point dog in this game, which is just that's outrageous to me. I know that they had their hands full with Mississippi's offense. They gave up a lot of points in that game, but the week before they didn't give up a lot of points. I I don't see this being a shootout. Could it be a shootout? Absolutely could be a shootout because of the talent level of the players on the field. On the other side, you got Carson Beck, who's like a 6th-year super senior playing for his second team, back up on 2 national championship teams for Georgia. If you look at his record overall, he's a very accomplished quarterback in the NCAA, and he's playing for a draft position. If he's going to enter the NFL, which I can't imagine him not doing that. He's going to make it hard for teams to pass up on him because his resume is probably better than anybody else's, with the exception of Mendoza having won the Heisman. But he's a big guy, 6'4". He can throw the ball. He makes all the throws. He's got a winning record. He's been a starter for virtually 3 years, right? He's everything
Absolutely.
you look for in a quarterback coming out of the draft. If you're following the Parcells quarterback draft protocol, whatever you want to call it. And Indiana, Indiana's playing, and they went from worst to first. The coach lights out. They only have they don't have any history between them currently. I mean, they've played previously. You're talking about back in the '60s, I think. So there's no recent history to go by between either these coaches or these teams. And you got everything you want in a national championship. You got one Cinderella story, basically. You have an undefeated team. You have the big bad wolf in Miami. It's all there. It's everything you can want in a national championship game.
I agree, and I think that happened despite the despite the people that run the playoffs and pick the teams. I think it happened despite
Yeah.
them. I think they had no idea that it would be Miami and Indiana.
For Miami to win tonight, they're going to have to dominate up front. And I'm not saying they will or won't, but they can. They definitely have the size to do it. They're going to have to run the ball against that Indiana defense, which is pretty stout against the run.
Right.
So you wonder if this is going to become a war of attrition late in this game. I think it will be. Obviously, you have to protect the football. Defensively, Miami's going to have to get after Fernando Mendoza because their play action is really good. They're good at freezing defenders. He's good at finding open receivers downfield. They
Right.
usually keep him pretty clean in the pocket, so that's going to be something to watch out for. Um, and the crowd might be a factor in terms of energy on the field and emotions and all that stuff. But once you get through that initial part of the game, things go back to normal, so to speak. And the crowd, especially for a seasoned team like both teams, really, but Miami essentially playing at home, I think they're going to be a little amped up and they'll be under control. Maybe Indiana could take advantage of that early, get an early lead, and then just play hide and seek the rest of the way. I don't think Indiana's going to try and do something that they haven't done all season. I don't think they're going to try and get fancy. I think they just show up and do what they do and try and beat you.
So what do you think the bet is? I mean, it's
I'm taking
Indiana
Miami with the points.
7.5.
7.5 points at home. I mean, how can you not take the points?
Mhm.
They've
What
been there before. I know this team hasn't been there, but they've played in some big games and they have the tradition and the helmets and the U and the Michael Irvin and the whole bit. This is what you go to Miami for. So they should be prepared to play in a game like this. So I would think that that's a lot of points in any game, and these are the two best teams in the country. So
really? That's what you think, huh? Well, having said that, I'm gonna take Indiana.
£7.5 is a lot of points.
I don't care. I think Indiana's got it. I think Indiana's gonna break their black back early, and I think it's gonna happen, though there may be. So I am gonna I am gonna take
It's
Indiana
unusual for. Sorry, go ahead.
Indiana minus the points and Indiana on the money line
Wow,
and see
big,
where it goes. And I just did it right
see,
now. So there it is. There you have it. And
very
next
good.
week you could say,
I will tip my cap
yeah,
if
you
you
could
if
say
you nailed
dinner's on you.
it. Sure,
I
you could
mean,
do that.
it doesn't pay very much, and I didn't really. It doesn't
Well,
really pay that much,
what
and I don't think it.
it's unusual for a Big Ten team to be in a bowl game and be undersized, but Indiana, and I'm not knocking them. Usually it's Michigan, Ohio State, Wisconsin that have those big 6'5", 330
Right,
pound offensive and defensive linemen, but and they're not undersized. They're just Miami's just big. They're just really
right.
big up front.
So, well, I think that's about it for this week. What do you think?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. So I thank everybody for watching and listening live. We're obviously going to edit this, and there'll be another version with probably better video than the live streaming video. But I thank you all for listening. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate everyone watching, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on other services to come.
StevenJustin.com.
StevenJustin.com to watch the old show. Thank you. The old shows and some little blips, some of the great comments from some of our guests. And we have more guests to come as we move to other sports. We're probably not going to talk about hockey because I don't think everybody said today when I was with the guys, they were like, oh, the Ranger game's on at 10 o'clock. I'm like, you're going to show up for the Ranger game? I'm like, the Rangers have decided not to show up for the game anymore. I mean, they're basically have announced that they're rebuilding the team. So what's the sense of watching them? But the Knicks were on at 5, so I don't know what happened there. But either way, that's it for today. I thank you all. Anything, Justin?
I think I forgot to mention that if it's all right, the plunge, if that's all right
Please
with
do.
you.
Of course. I don't care.
Yeah.
You think I care?
So this will be my 4th year in a row. I'm going to do the Galata House Escape from Sing Sing Polar Plunge. It's to raise money for their charity. Their charity is a local organization here on the west coast of Westchester County, the Hudson line. They help families in need post a tragedy. So if a family suffers an event like a flood or a fire or even worse, Galata House responds within the first 24 to 48 hours to provide food, shelter, clothes, money, a car, whatever it takes to get that family on their feet immediately so that they can recover quickly and not suffer a great loss through, families have lost, their apartments, their homes, a car, or worse. And Galata House has been there since longer than I've been a part of this. So I'm going to jump on the 7th of February. You can go to galatahouse.org or galatahouse.com. I'm going to give Steve a link. Maybe we'll put it on the website if you care to donate or even participate in the plunge itself or come and support me live that day in the frigid, freezing waters of the Hudson.
I'm glad to make a donation, and I'm glad to clap my hands. I ain't going.
It's not looking good. It's looking like it's going to be really cold this year.
When is it?
February 7th, the day before the Super Bowl.
Great. You'll be sick for the Super Bowl, I guess.
I'll be well, I've done it 3 years in a row, and the Hudson hasn't got me yet, so
There's plenty of time, Bill.
plenty of time.
All right. Thank you all. Please appreciate if you make any donations or participate. Please, we here at Sports Live with Steve and Justin support this cause wholeheartedly. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you. See you all next week.
See you next week. Thanks, Steve.
Who will be right and who will be wrong about Indiana and Miami? We shall see.
Who's your daddy?